Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Raju Prabhu.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर साधि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसाति गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम राम
हरे राम
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna,
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे राम हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे राम हरे 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 हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे राम हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे कृष्ण Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Rama Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Rama Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Ram Hare Smart from God. Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Hare हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna
राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Sandhya Mataji, Deepa Mataji, Samyukta Mataji, Sapan Prabhu, Raja Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare
Yeah.
Krishna. Prabhuji నేను ఎక్కడ ఎండ్ చేసామో నాకు గుర్తులేదు.
ఇది ఆగండి చెప్తాను. నేను చూసి చెప్తాను.
నేను మంగళాచరణ చేస్తాను, మీరు చాట్ లో రాసుకోండి.
ఫైండ్
ఓం నమో భగవతే వాసుదేవాయ. ఓం నమో భగవతే వాసుదేవాయ. ఓం నమో భగవతే వాసుదేవాయ. ఓం అజ్ఞానతిమిరంధస్య జ్ఞానాంజనశలాకయా చక్షురున్మిలితం యేన తస్మై శ్రీ గురువే నమః. శ్రీ చైతన్య మనోభీష్టం స్థాపితం యేన భూతలే స్వయం రూప కదా మహ్యం దదాతి స్వపదాంతికం. నమో విష్ణుపాదాయ కృష్ణపృష్ఠాయ భూతలే శ్రీమతే భక్తివేదాంత స్వామినితి నామినే. నమస్తే సరస్వతీ దేవే గౌరవాణి ప్రచారిణే నిర్విశేష శూన్యవాది పాశ్చాత్య దేశతారిణే. జై శ్రీ కృష్ణ చైతన్య ప్రభు నిత్యానంద శ్రీ అద్వైత గదాధార శ్రీవాసాది గౌర భక్త వృంద. హరే కృష్ణ 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 హరే హరే, హరే రామ 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 హరే హరే.
హరే కృష్ణ మాధవ్.
ప్రభుజీ
1632 చదివినారు.
యా ఓకే ప్రభుజీ. సో 33 స్టార్ట్ చేయాలి.
అది 1632 33 లో స్టార్ట్ చేయండి.
ఓకే ప్రభుజీ, థ్యాంక్ యూ ప్రభుజీ.
హరే
సారీ, అదేమవుతుందంటే క్లాస్ వెంటనే దాని తర్వాత ఐ గెట్ ఇన్ టు మీటింగ్, ఇది క్లోజ్ చేసేయడం వల్ల మర్చిపోతున్నాను.
అయ్యా అది ఆబ్వియస్లీ. ఇప్పుడు మనం లాస్ట్ 1.5 year చేసిన అన్ని ఉన్నాయి ఆడ రికార్డింగ్ అన్ని.
థ్యాంక్ యూ ప్రభుజీ.
Subhara Prabhuji also attending Prabhuji in YouTube link every day. Subhara Prabhuji కూడా అటెండ్ అవుతుందట ప్రభుజీ రోజు యూట్యూబ్ లింక్ ద్వారా.
ఎవరు? అచ్చా అవునా,
చెప్పాడు మొన్న. నేను కూడా అటెండ్ అవుతున్నా డైలీ అని అన్నాడు.
అదే అడ్వాంటేజ్ ఏంటంటే ఐ విల్ టెల్ యూ వాట్ సమ్ టైమ్స్ నేను కూడా, ఎందుకంటే జూమ్ కాల్ లేను కదా, జూమ్ కాల్ లేను కాబట్టి అట్లీస్ట్ సంథింగ్ ఏదో వర్క్ చేసుకుంటాను, ఏదో వినడం. యా థ్యాంక్ యూ. Carry on.
Thank you Prabhuji. We'll start with 1633. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. The Lord said, yes, I am known as a teacher of grammar, but factually I cannot impress my students with grammatical knowledge, nor can they understand me very well. Purport. Since Keshav Kashmiri was a little puffed up, the Lord increased his artificial pride by presenting himself as subordinate to him. Thus he flattered him as follows. My dear sir, whereas you are very learned scholar in all sorts of scriptures and are very much experienced in composing poetry, I am only a boy, a new student and nothing more. Therefore, I desire to hear your skill in composing poetry. We could hear this if you could mercifully describe the glory of Mother Ganges. When the Brahmana Keshav Kashmiri heard this, he became still more puffed up, and within 1 hour he composed 100 verses describing Mother Ganges. The Lord praised him, saying, sir, this is no greater poet, there is no greater poet than you in the entire world. Hare Krishna. Samyukta Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Your poetry is so difficult that no one can understand it, but you and Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning. Purport. Replying to Keshava Kashmiri. Sarcastically, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu indirectly minimized the value of his poetry by saying, yes, your compositions are so nice that no one but you and your worshipable mother, the goddess of learning, can understand them. Keshava Kashmiri was a favorite devotee of Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as the master of the goddess of learning, has the right to speak sarcastically of her devotees. In other words, although Keshava Kashmiri was proud of being favored by the goddess of learning, he did not know that she is controlled by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, because he is the supreme personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Sandhya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. But if you explain the meaning of one verse, we can all hear it from your own mouth and thus be very happy. The Digvijay Keshava Kashmiri inquired which verse he wanted explained. The Lord then recited one of the 100 verses Keshava Kashmiri had composed. The greatness of Mother Ganges always brilliantly exists. She is the most fortunate because she emanated from the lotus feet of Sri Vishnu, the personality of Godhead. She is the second goddess of fortune and therefore she is always worshipped both by demigods and by humanity. Endowed with all wonderful qualities, she flourishes on the head of Lord Shiva. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him to explain the meaning of this verse, the champion, very much astonished, inquired from him as follows.
Thank you, Mataji. Lavanya Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah, translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. I recited all the verses like the blowing wind. How could you completely learn by heart even one among those verses? Yeah. Translation. The Lord replied, by the grace of the Lord, someone may become a great poet, and similarly, by his grace, someone else may become a great Shrutidara who can memorize anything immediately. Purport. In this connection, Shrutidara is a very important word. Shruti means hearing, and Dara means one who can capture. Formerly, before the beginning of Kali Yuga, almost everyone, especially among the intelligent men, the Brahmanas, was the Shrutidara. As soon as the student heard any of the Vedic wisdom from his master, he would remember it forever. There was no need to refer the books, and therefore there were no written books in those days. The spiritual master delivered the Vedic hymns and their explanation to the student, who could then remember them forever without consulting books. To become a Shrutidara, one who can remember simply by hearing is a great achievement for a student. In the Bhagavad Gita 10.41, the Lord said, Yadyad vibhutimat sattvam srimat urjitam evava taddat evanu gachatvam mama tejo amsha sambhavam. Know that all opulent, beautiful and glorious creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. As soon as we find anything extraordinary, we should understand that such an extraordinary manifestation is the special grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied to the champion Keshava Kashmiri that just as he was greatly proud of being a favorite devotee of Mother Saraswati, so someone else like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, being favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, could become a Shrutidara and thus memorize anything immediately simply by hearing it. Thank you, Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Lalitman Prabhu.
You asked me, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Just a minute.
Yeah.
Explained. Then the Lord said, Now kindly explain the special qualities and faults in this verse. Purport. Not only did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pick out this one among 100 verses and remember it, although the Brahmana had recited them like the blowing wind, but he also analyzed its qualities and faults. Not only did he hear the verse, but he immediately made it a critical study of it. Hare Krishna.
You can continue this also, Prabhuji.
Okay, Mataji. Translation. The Brahmana replied, there is not a tinge of faults in that verse. Rather, it has good qualities of smile, similes, and alliterations. Purport. In the last line of the verse quoted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the letter Bha is repeated many times, as in the words Bhavani, Bhartur, Vibhavati, Adbhuta. Such repetition is called Anuprasa or alliteration. The word Lakshmi Iva and Vishnu's Charana Kamalotpatti are instances of Upama Alankara. For they exhibit metaphorical beauty. The Ganges is water and Lakshmi is goddess of fortune. Since water and a person are not actually similar, the comparison is metaphorical. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Raju Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Translation. The Lord said, my dear sir, I may say something to you if you will not become angry. Can you explain the faults in this verse? Translation. There is no doubt that your poetry is full of ingenuity and certainly it has satisfied the Supreme Lord. Yet, if we scrutinizingly consider it, we can find both good qualities and faults. Translation. The Lord concluded, now, therefore, let us carefully scrutinize this verse. Purport. The poet replied, yes, the verse you have recited is perfectly correct. Can I continue, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Translation. You are an ordinary student of grammar. What do you know about literary embellishments? You cannot review this poetry because you do not know anything about it. Purport. Keshav Kashmiri first wanted to bluff Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by saying that since he was not an advanced student in literary style, he could not review a verse full of metaphors and literary ornaments. This argument has some basis in fact. Unless one is medical man, he cannot criticize a medical man. And unless one is a lawyer, he cannot criticize a lawyer. Therefore, Keshav Kashmiri is first depreciated the Lord's position. Depreciated the Lord's position because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was to the champion a student of grammar. How could he dare criticize a great poet like him? Lord Chaitanya, therefore, criticized the poet in a different way. He said that although he was certainly not advanced in the literary career, he had heard from others how to criticize the such poetry, and such a Strutidara, possessing a complete memory, he could understand the process for such a review. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Sapan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Translation. Taking a humble position, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, because I am not on your level, I have asked you to teach me by explaining the faults and good qualities in your poetry. Translation. Certainly, I have not studied the art of literary embellishments, but I have heard about it from other from higher circles. Thus, I can review this verse and find in it many faults and many good qualities. Purport. The statement Kariyachi Shravana, I have heard it, is very important in the sense that hearing is more important than directly studying or perceiving. If one is expert in hearing and hears from the right source, his knowledge is immediately perfect. This process is called Srota Pantha, or acquisition of knowledge by hearing from authorities. As Vedic knowledge is based on the principle that one must approach a bona fide spiritual master and hear from him the authoritative statements of the Vedas, it is not necessary for one to be highly polished literary man to receive knowledge. To receive perfect knowledge from a perfect man, one must be expert in hearing. This is called the descending process of deductive knowledge, or Avaroha Pantha. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Samyukta Mataji, can you do it?
Yes, Mother. Translation. The poet said, "All right, let me see what good qualities and faults you have found." Purport. The Lord replied, "Let me speak and please hear me without becoming angry." Translation. My dear,
Mataji, continue.
okay, Mataji. My dear sir, in this verse there are 5 faults and 5 literary ornaments. I shall state them one after another. Kindly hear me and then give your judgment. Purport. In the verse beginning with Mahatvam Gangayaha, there are 5 literary ornaments and 5 examples of faulty composition. There are 2 examples of the fault called Avimrista Videyamsha, and 1 example each of the faults Viruddhamati, Punarukti, and Bhagna Krama. Vimshta means clean and Vidheyamsha means predicate. It is a general rule of composition to establish a subject first and then give its predicate. For example, according to Sanskrit grammar, if one says this man is learned, his composition is in order. But if one says learned is this man, the composition is not in order. Such a flaw is called Avimrishta Vidheyamsha dosa, or the fault of unclean composition. The subject matter to be known of the words is the glorification of the Ganges, and therefore the word idam, this, or what is known should have been placed before Mataji scroll. Have been placed before instead of after the glorification. The subject matter already known should be placed before the unknown so that its meaning will not be misconstrued. The second instant of Avimrista Videyamsa dosha occurs in the words Vidya Sri Lakshmir Iva. In this composition, the word Vidya second is Vidheya, or unknown. Placing the unknown first to make the compound word Vidya Sri Lakshmir is another fault. The words Vidya Sri Lakshmir Iva were intended to compare the Ganges to the goddess of fortune. But because of this fault, the meaning of the compound word was bewildering. The third fault is that of Viruddhamati, or contradictory conception in the words Bhavani Bhartu. The word Bhavani refers to the wife of Bhava, Lord Shiva. But since Bhavani is already known as the wife of Lord Shiva, to add the word Bharta, husband, thus forming a compound meaning, the husband of the wife of Lord Shiva, is contradictory. For thus it appears as if the wife of Lord Shiva had another husband. The fourth fault is Punarukti, or redundancy, which occurs when the verb Vibhavati flourishes, which should have ended the composition, is further qualified by the unnecessary adjective Adbhuta Guna, endowed with wonderful qualities. The fifth fault is Bhagna Krama, which means broken order. In the first, third, and fourth lines, there is Anuprasa, or alliteration, created by the sounds Ta, Ra, and Bha. But in the second line, there is no such Anuprasa, and therefore the order is broken. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. In this verse, the fault of Avimrishta Vidheyamsa occurs twice, and the faults of Viruddha Mati, Bhagna Krama, and punaratta occurs once each time. The glorification of the Ganges, Mahatvam Gangaya, is the principal unknown subject matter in this verse, and the known subject matter is indicated by the word idam, which has been placed after the unknown. Because you have placed the known subject at the end and that which is unknown at the beginning, the composition is faulty and the meaning of the words has become doubtful. Without first mentioning what is known, one should not introduce the unknown, for that which has no solid basis can never be established anywhere. This is a verse from Ekadashi Tattva. In the word Dvitiya Sri Lakshmi, a second all-opulent goddess of fortune, the quality of being a second Lakshmi is the unknown. In making this compound word, the meaning became secondary and the originally intended meaning was lost. Hare Krishna. Sandhya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Because the word Dvitiya second is the unknown, in its combination in this compound word, the intended meaning of equality with Lakshmi is lost. Not only is there the fault Avimrishta Videyamsa, but there is also another fault which I shall point out to you. Kindly hear me with great attention. Here is another great fault. You have arranged the word Bhavani Bhartar to your great satisfaction, but this betrays the fault of contradiction. The word Bhavani means the wife of Lord Shiva, but when we mention her husband, one might conclude that Shiva has another husband. It is a contradictory to hear that Lord Shiva's wife has another husband. The use of such words in literature creates the fault called Viruddha Matikrit. If someone says,
Thank you,
okay, Mataji.
Yeah, Laltman Prabhu. Lavanya Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Can I read?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, translation. If someone says, place this charity in the hand of husband of wife of Brahmana, when we hear these contradictory words, we immediately understand that the Brahmana's wife has another husband. Translation. The statement by the word Vibhavati flourishes is complete. Qualifying it with the adjective Adbhuta Guna, wonderful qualities, creates the fault of redundancy. There is extraordinary alliteration in 3 lines of the verse, but in 1 line there is no such alliteration. This is the fault of deviation. Although there are 5 literary ornaments decorating this verse, the entire verse has been spoiled by these 5 most faulty presentations. Yeah, if there are 10 literary ornaments in a verse, but even 1 faulty expression, the entire verse is nullified.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yes.
Laltman Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji. So does anyone have any clue what's happening now?
Yeah.
It's a Vyakarana, Prabhuji.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is doing bhangam of his pride by finding all the faults.
So actually it is said there are, actually it's a war is happening now, but it is an intellectual war. The egos, of course, Mahaprabhu, you should not say it is an ego, but Keshav Kashmiri's ego is properly being
Kuchlofied.
Intellectual pride is properly being tarnished step by step, bit by bit. It is said that there is only the greatest of all time debate which happened ever in the known histories between Mandan Mishra and Shankaracharya. If you see the debate, debate between Mandan Mishra and Shankaracharya, it is to establish that Advaita is more than Karmakandik. That Mandan Mishra is a complete Karmakandi devotee. And Shankaracharya is a great Advaitist. You know, he wanted to establish the Advaita philosophy. That is, jnana is more important than the karma. And he established after 15 days of the debate. And after that, this is the debate which happened between jnana and bhakti. And actually, Mahaprabhu at last, establishes that bhakti is more important than the jnana which you have. So this is the theme of this, but we see how it happens. Okay, it happens very systematically. Okay, understood, na? So this is to establish that bhakti is more important than jnana. But before that, there is one more debate which happened, which is very famous. That is between Mandan Mishra and Shankaracharya. That is between the Karma Kandik and Jnana Kandik. They say that Jnana, it was established that Jnana Kanda is more important than the Karma Kanda. And here, that Bhakti is more important than the Jnana. This is what Mahaprabhu wanted to establish. That is why this debate is being happened. Else, Mahaprabhu is not interested in all these things. But just to establish that Bhakti is more important than Jnana, he is taking this chance.
Yes, Prabhu.
Translation. One's beautiful body may be decorated with jewels, but one spot of white leprosy makes the entire body abominable. Purport. The great sage Bharata Muni, an authority of poetic metaphor, has given his opinion in this connection as follows. Should I continue, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Until 5.
Translation. As one's body, although well decorated with ornaments, is made unfortunate by even one spot of white leprosy. So an entire poem is made useless by a fault, despite alliteration, similes, and metaphors. Translation. Now here the description of the 5 literary embellishments. There are 2 ornaments of sound and 3 ornaments of meaning. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Raju Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hi.
Translation. There is a sound ornament of alliteration in 3 lines, and in the combination of the words Sri and Lakshmi, there is the ornament of a tinge of redundancy. Translation. In the arrangement of the first line, the letter ta occurs 5 times, and the arrangement of third line repeats the letter ra 5 times. In the 4th line, the letter ba occurs 4 times. This arrangement of alliteration is a pleasing ornamental use of sounds. Translation. Although the words Shri and Lakshmi convey the same meaning and are therefore almost redundant, they are nevertheless not redundant. Translation. Describing Lakshmi as processed of Shri opulence offers a difference in meaning with the tinge of repetition. This is the second ornamental use of words.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Sapan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Translation. The use of words Lakshmir Iva, like Lakshmi, manifests the ornament of meaning called Upama, analogy. This is also the further ornament of meaning called Virodha Bhasha, or contradictory indication. Translation. Everyone knows that lotus flowers grow in the water of Ganges, but to say that Ganges takes a birth from a lotus flower seems extremely contradictory. Translation. The existence of Mother Ganges begins from the lotus feet of the Lord, although this statement that water comes from the lotus flower is a contradiction. In connection with Lord Vishnu, it is a great wonder. Translation. In this birth of the Ganges by inconceivable potency of the Lord, there is no contradiction, although it appears contradictory. Purport. The central point of all Vaishnava philosophy is to accept the inconceivable potency of Lord Vishnu. What sometimes appears contradictory from a material viewpoint is understandable in connection with Supreme Personality of Godhead, because he can perform contradictory activities by dint of his conceivable potencies. Modern scientists are puzzled. They cannot even explain how such a large quantity of chemicals has formed the atmosphere. Scientists explain that water is a combination of hydrogen and oxygen, but when asked where such a large quantity of hydrogen and oxygen came from and how they combine to manufacture the great oceans and seas, they cannot answer because they are atheists who will not accept that everything comes from life. Their thesis is that life comes from matter. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Chandramali Prabhu చదవగలరా?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Where do all these chemicals come from? The answer is that they are produced by the inconceivable energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Living entities are part of the Supreme God, and from their bodies come many chemicals. For example, the lemon tree is a living entity that produces many lemons, and within each lemon is a great deal of citric acid. Therefore, if even an insignificant living entity who is but a part of the Supreme Lord can produce so much of the chemical, how much potency there must be in the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Scientists cannot perfectly explain where the chemicals of the world are manufactured, but one can explain this perfectly by accepting the inconceivable energy of the Supreme Lord. There is no reason for denying this argument. Since there are potencies in the living entities who are samples of the Personality of Godhead, how much potency there must be in the Supreme Godhead himself. As described in the Vedas, Nitya Nityanam Chetana Chetananam. He is the chief eternal of all eternals and the chief living entity among all living entities. Kada Upanishad 2.2.13. Unfortunately, atheist science will not accept that matter comes from life. Scientists insist upon their most illogical and foolish theory that life comes from matter, although this is quite impossible. They cannot prove in their laboratories that matter can produce life, and there are thousands and thousands of examples illustrating that matter comes from life. Therefore, in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadasa Kaviraj Goswami says that as soon as one accepts the inconceivable potential of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, no great philosopher or scientist can put forward any thesis to contradict the Lord's power. This is expressed in the following Sanskrit verse. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Kinchan Prabhu, do you want to read one?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, read 5 verses, Prabhuji, and then we can conclude the reading call.
Okay, Mataji. Yeah, translation and Prabhupada, translation purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Everyone knows that lotus flower grow into water, but grow in the water, but water never grows from the lotus. All such contradiction, however, are wonderfully possible in Krishna. The great river Ganges has grown from his lotus feet. Translation: the real glory of Mother Ganges is that she has grown from the lotus feet of the Lord Vishnu. Such hypothesis is another ornament called Anumana. I have simply discussed the 5 gross faults and 5 literary embellishments of this verse. But if we consider it in fine detail, we will find unlimited faults. You have achieved poetic imagination and ingenuity by the grace of your worshipful demigod. By poetry not well reviewed is certainly subject to criticism. Poetic skill used with due consideration is very pure, and with metaphors and analogies, it is dazzling.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Let me just check how many are there. Okay. We'll do the rest tomorrow then. This is what we need to start tomorrow. Lalit Mohan Prabhu, over to you. Em cheddam ivala? Are we
We'll
doing
go
the
to
first two or directly to the third one?
It's up to you, Mataji.
We can do the
Mataji's
third one first and then revise with all the three.
Okay, Mataji. We'll go to the synonyms first, Mataji, in the third one.
Okay, Prabhuji.
So, any one of you can take the lead and read the synonyms, every word 3 times. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I missed the classes in last 10 days. So all I remember last was we were doing Brahma Samhita of chapter 5. So can you tell me where are we right now?
Yeah, after that, after Brahma Samhita, we started with the Dhruv Maharaj prayers, Prabhu. This is a series of 12 shlokas together. And we are at the third one right now. All the shlokas in this Dhruv Maharaj prayers will be at the same tune. So we are the third shloka of that prayers. Today we start. Yesterday I just started it, and today I wanted to go to the synonyms and translation, and then again repeat the same.
Okay, so is 4.9.8 the first of the three verses?
No, 4.9.6 is the first shloka of the Maharaj prayers, and we are at the third right now.
Okay, Prabhuji.
But all are same tune, Prabhuji. So you can start fresh with this. Anyway, we will be revising the first two. So don't worry about it.
Okay, Mataji.
Okay, someone do with the synonyms, please. Go with the synonyms.
Okay, Prabhuji, I'll do it. Tvat dattaya, given by you. Tvat dattaya, given by you. Tvat dattaya, given by you. Vayunaya, by knowledge. Vayunaya, by knowledge. Vayunaya, by knowledge. Idam, this. Idam, this. Idam, this. Achasta, good see. Achasta, good see. Achashta, good see. Vishwam, whole universe. Vishwam, whole universe. Vishwam, whole universe. Supta Prabuddha, a man rising from sleep. Supta Prabuddha, a man rising from sleep. Supta Prabuddha, a man rising from sleep. Iva, like. Iva, like. Iva, like. Natha, O my Lord. Natha, O my Lord. Natha, O my Lord. Bhavat Prapannaha, Lord Brahma, who is surrendered unto you. Bhavat Prapannaha, Lord Brahma, who is surrendered unto you. Bhavat Prapannaha, Lord Brahma, who is surrendered unto you. Tasya, his. Tasya, his. Tasya, his. Apavargya, of persons desiring liberation. Apavargya, of persons desiring liberation. Apavargya, of persons desiring liberation. Sharanam, the shelter. Sharanam, the shelter. Sharanam, the shelter. Tava, your. Tava, your. Tava, your. Padamulam, lotus feet. Padamulam, lotus feet. Padamulam, lotus feet. Vismaryate, can be forgotten. Vismaryate, can be forgotten. Vismaryate, can be forgotten. Kritavida, by a learned person. Kritavida, by a learned person. Kritavida, by a learned person. Katham, how? Katham, how? Katham, how? Artha Bandho, O friend of the distressed. Artha Bandho, O friend of the distressed. Artha Bandho, O friend of the distressed. Translation. O my master, Lord Brahma is fully surrendered unto you. In the beginning you gave him knowledge, and thus he could see and understand the entire universe just as a person awakens from sleep and visualizes his immediate duties. You are the only shelter of all persons who desire liberation, and you are the friend of all who are distressed. How therefore can a learned person who has perfect knowledge ever forget you? Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Anyone else wanted to do the synonyms one time at least?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Can I do?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Uh,
One time.
Yes, Prabhuji. Means first to 4.9.8, Prabhuji.
Yeah, 4.9.8 synonyms like you read Tvad-dattaya given by you. Okay, one time.
Tvad-dattaya given by you. Vayunaya by knowledge. Idam, this. Achasta could see. Vishwam, whole universe. Supta Prabuddhaha, a man rising from sleep. Iva, like. Natha, O my Lord. Bhavat Prapannaha, Lord Brahma, who is surrendered unto you. Tasya is. Apavargyasya, apavargya.
Apavargya.
Okay. Apavargya. A person desiring liberation. Sharanam, the shelter. Tava, your. Padamulam, lotus feet. Vismaryate, can be forgotten. Kritavida, by learned person. Katam, how. Arthabandhu, O friend of the distress. Translation. Can I read translation, please?
Yes, Prabhu, go ahead.
Yeah. O my master, Lord Brahma is fully surrendered unto you. In the beginning, you gave him knowledge, and thus he could see and understand the entire universe. Just as a person awakens from sleep and visualize his immediate duties. You are the only shelter of all persons who desire liberation, and you are the friend of all who distress. How, therefore, can a learned person who has perfect knowledge ever forget you? Hare Krishna.
Okay. Akinjan Prabhu, do you want to do the synonyms?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, yes.
Just do the synonyms, Prabhu.
Yeah, yes, Prabhu. Tvad-dattaya, given by you. Vayunaya, by knowledge. Idam, this. Achasta, could see. Visvam, whole universe. Supta Prabuddhaya, a man rising from sleep. Iva.
Prabudha. Supta
Prabuddha. Yes. Supta Prabuddha, a man rising from sleep. Iva, like. Natha, O my Lord. Bhavat Prapanna, Lord Brahma, who is surrendered unto you. Tasya, his. Apavargaya, of persons desiring liberation. Sharanam, the shelter. Tava, your. Padamulam, lotus feet. Vismaryate, can be forgotten. Kritavida, by the learned person. Katam, how. Artha Bhando, O friend of distress. Of the distress.
Okay, Prabhuji. So everyone would understand the meaning. The first word, the first two lines, it says, Brahma could get the knowledge by you, and that is how he has created this whole universe. This is what first two lines describe. Tvad-dattaya, given by you. Vayunayedam. Vayunayedam means this knowledge. The knowledge which is given by you. Achasta Vishwaha. Achasta means to see. Vishwaha means the whole world. He can see the whole world only by the knowledge which has been given by you. This is the first line, what it means. Supta Prabuddha means a person, how he could see this? As a person who has just wake up from a deep slumber. Even Natha, like Natha means, oh Lord, Bhavat Prapannaha. Who could do all these things? Bhavat Prapannaha. Brahma, who is surrendered unto you. Then Tasya Apavargya, Sharanam Tava Padamulam. Tasya Apavargya, this is an important word. Very, very important word. A person who desires to get liberation. For that person, what is the only only thing which he can do is to take shelter of your lotus feet. How can he forget even this? Oh my Lord, this is what Dhruv Maharaj was asking. Okay, shall we go with the shloka? Now everyone would understand the meaning, and the shloka will be very easy.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
In this, what is the context? He's talking about a living entity here. Who is forgetting this living entity?
Prabhu, the only context is praising the Lord, Prabhu. That's it. How he does?
Last line, Prabhuji, last line. How therefore can a learned person who is a perfect knowledge ever forget you? He's talking about himself, Brahma, or the living entity. He want to show the living entities through him. How is it? Last line.
The living entity, Prabhu. Okay. How can any living entity forget you? You know, actually, Prabhu, what happens is the moment we see the God, we'll completely go into trance. This is what it is said. And Dhruv Maharaj was feeling that how can anyone forget you, Krishna? You know, so he's telling that in a literal sense. You know, if anyone wanted to take a shelter, it should be at your lotus feet. How can anyone forget? Like when we praise someone, we go in this mood. So actually, Dhruv Maharaj has gone into that mood because he was touched by the Lord. So all his senses waked up and he started giving up ultimate poetry. Actually, it is, you know, what he's saying about the living entity only. Because living entities are the one who forget him in this material world. So he's describing about all the living entities in this material world who forgot the Lord.
Okay.
But the sense is he's praising the Lord in such a way that how can anyone forget you?
Right.
Okay. Shall we go ahead with the shlokas, Mataji? Matajis and Prabhujis?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So we will recite. What should I do? Should I repeat what I have repeated yesterday, or should I go directly to the shloka? No, what is it? Reciting the whole shloka.
No, we will repeat, Prabhuji, one by one. Like once
Again, line by line.
Yeah, each line. Yeah.
Okay. Then 3 times every line, and 2 lines together 3 times.
Yes.
And then whole shloka. Okay. Vaddattaya vayunayedamachasta vishvam.
Vaddattaya vayunayedamachasta vishvam.
Vaddattaya vayunayedamachasta vishvam.
Vaddattaya vayunayedamachasta vishvam.
Vaddattaya vayunayedamachasta vishvam. Sukta prabuddhaiva nata bhavat prapannah.
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 Sukta prabuddha ivanata bhavat prapannah.
Sukta prabuddhaiva nata bhavat
prapannah.
Tasyapavargya sharanam tava padamulam.
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 Vismaryate kritavidha kathamartha bandho.
Vismaryate kritavidha
Vismaryate kritavidha kathamartha bandho.
Vismaryate kritavidha kathamartha bandho.
Vismaryate kritavidha kathamartha bandho.
Vismaryate kritavidha kathamartha bandho.
Vaddattaya vainayedamachasta vishvam. Sutta prabuddha ivanata bhavat prapannah. वदत्तया वयुनैदमचष्ट विश्वं सुप्त प्रबुद्ध इव नाथ भवत्प्रपन्नः वदत्तया वयुनैदमचष्ट विश्वं सुप्त प्रबुद्ध इव नाथ भवत्प्रपन्नः तस्यापवर्ग्य शरणं तव पादमूलं विस्मर्यते कृतविधा कथमार्तबन्धो तस्यापवर्ग्य शरणं तव पादमूलं विस्मर्यते कृतविधा कथमार्तबन्धो तस्यापवर्ग्य शरणं तव पादमूलं विस्मर्यते कृतविधा कथमार्तबन्धो Okay, now I will recite the and you will start practicing it individually. Idamachasta Vishwam Sukta Prabhuddha Ivanaka Bhavat Prapannaha Tasyapavargya Sharanam Tava Padamulam Vismaryate Kritavidaka Tamartabandhu Twadutta Prabhuddha Ivanaka Bhavat Prapannaha Tasyapavargya Sharanam Tava Padamulam Vismaryate Kritavidaka Tamartabandhu तद्दत्तया वयुनैदमचष्ट विश्वं सुप्त प्रबुद्ध इव नाथ भवत्प्रपन्नः तस्यापवर्ग्य शरणं तव पादमूलं विस्मर्यते कृतविधा कथमार्तबन्धो. Go ahead, turn by turn. Samyukta Mataji, please start.
Yes, Prabhuji. तद्दत्तया वयुनैदमचष्ट विश्वं सुप्त प्रबुद्ध इव नाथ भवत्प्रपन्नः तस्यापवर्ग्य शरणं तव पादमूलं विस्मर्यते कृतविधा कथमार्तबन्धो.
Very good. Sanjay Mataji, please start. Okay, Mataji. Okay, Mataji.
Lavanya Mataji. तद्दत्तया वयुनैदं यत् अचष्ट विश्वं सुप्त प्रबुद्धैव नाथ भवत्प्रपन्ना तस्यापवर्ग्य शरणं तव पादमूलं विस्मर्यते कृतविदा कथमार्तबन्धो.
Deepa Mataji.
त्वद्दत्तया वयुनयेदमचष्ट विश्वं सुप्तप्रबुद्धैव नाथ भवत्प्रपन्नः तस्यापवर्ग्य शरणं तव पादमूलं विस्मर्यते कृतविदात् कथमार्तबन्धो.
Raju Prabhu.
हरे कृष्ण पूज्य त्वद्दत्तय वयुनवेदमतष्ट विश्वं सुप्ता प्रबुद्ध इव नाथ भवत्प्रपन्ना तस्यापवर्ग्य शरणं तव पादमूलं विस्मर्यते कृतविदा.
No. Third line that was Prabhu. तस्यापवर्ग्य शरणं
तस्यापवर्ग शरणं तव पादमूलं विस्मर्यते कृतविदा कथमार्तबन्धो. ओके ना त्वद्दत्तय वयुनय ओके त्वद्दत्तय वयुनैदमचष्ट विश्वं सुप्ता प्रबुद्ध इव नाथ भवत्प्रपन्ना तस्यापवर्ग्य शरणं तव पादमूलं विस्मर्यते कृतविद कथमार्तबन्धो.
ओके प्रभु जी.
हरे कृष्ण.
चंद्रमौली प्रभु.
हरे कृष्ण.
हरे कृष्ण.
त्वद्दत्तया वयुनयेदमचष्टमिष्टं सप्त प्रबुद्ध.
Very good. Third line, that's the first line. Adi ku practice. त्वद्दत्तया वयुनयेदमचस्तविश्वम्
त्वद्दत्तया वयुनयेदमचष्ट विश्वं सप्तप्रबुद्ध एव नाद भवत्प्रणः
प्रपन्नः
त्वद्दत्तया वयुनयेदमचष्ट विश्वं सप्तप्रबुद्ध एव नाद भवत्प्रणः तस्यापवर्गशरणं तव पादमूलं विस्मर्यते कृतविदा कथमात्मं बन्धो
प्रभु प्रपन्नः
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 అదే ఇప్పుడు బాగా వస్తుంది ప్రభు ఫ్లోలో మింగేస్తున్నాను
ఇంకోసారి రీసెట్ చేస్తాను
యా చేయండి ప్రభు ప్లీజ్
त्वद्दत्तया वयुनयेदमचष्ट विश्वं
చంద్రమౌళి
కాదు అది అసలు మన ఈసారి అది ఫాల్ట్ చేయకూడదని అది బాగా ప్రాక్టీస్ చేసినట్టున్నారు
సరే
అసలు లోపం వచ్చేసింది
సరే ప్రభు त्वद्दत्तया वयुनयेदमचष्ट विश्वं
కాదు ప్రభు ఇలా ఇలా తెలుగు त्वद्दत्तया वयुनयेदमचष्ट विश्वम्
त्वद्दत्तया वयुनयेदमचष्ट विश्वं सप्तप्रबुद्ध इव नाद भवत्प्रणः तस्यापवर्गशरणं तव पादमूलं विस्मर्यते कृतविदा कथमात्मबन्धो
హరే కృష్ణ ఓకే ప్రభు ప్రపన్న అని చూసుకోండి ప్రభు ఫ్లోలో మారిపోతుంది అది
షూర్ ప్రభు
ఓకే ప్రభు థ్యాంక్ యూ అటెన్షన్ ప్రభు
yes ప్రభు त्वद्दत्तया वयुनेदचष्ट विश्वं सुप्तप्रबुद्ध इव नाथ भव प्रपन्ना तस्यापवर्गशरणं तव पादमूलं विस्मर्यते कृदाविदं कथम् अर्थबन्धो
ప్రభు ఫస్ట్ లైన్ ఒకసారి మళ్ళీ చేయండి ప్రభు ఏ రెండు అక్షరాలు
तया वयुनयेदचष्ट विश्वं सुप्तप्रबुद्ध इव नाथ भवत्प्रपन्ना तस्यापवर्गशरणं तव पादमूलं विस्मर्यते कृतविदा कथम् अर्थबन्धो
ఓకే ప్రభు సపన్ ప్రభు
యా హరే కృష్ణ ప్రభుజీ నాకు ఇంకా ట్యూన్ అలవాటు కాలేదు సో ప్లీజ్ ఎక్స్క్యూజ్ మై
వి ఆర్ హియర్ ప్రభు వి ఆర్ హియర్ టు హెల్ప్ యు
त्वद्दत्तया वयुनयेदम् अचष्ट विश्वं सुप्त प्रबुद्ध इव नाथ भवत्प्रपन्ना तस्यापवर्ग्य शरणं तव पादमूलं विस्मर्यते कृतविदा कथमार्थबन्धो
yes ప్రభు perfect so shall we recite the first two again today
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I'm ready.
yeah Hare Krishna
Prabhu, shall I try Prabhu? I'm ready. Yeah,
అరే ప్రభు రామరెడ్డి ప్రభు రోజు మర్చిపోతాను ప్రభు ఐఎమ్ సారీ
that's fine Prabhu.
extremely sorry
Prabhuji, you have to log in with like Samyukta and Ram Reddy so that Prabhuji knows. Please.
Sure.
sorry ప్రభు sorry
No problem.
రోజు మర్చిపోతున్నా ఐఎమ్ సారీ ప్లీజ్ గో అహెడ్ ప్రభు
त्वद्दत्तया वयुनयेदमचष्ट विश्वं सुप्तप्रबुद्ध इव नाद भवत्प्रपन्नः तस्यापवर्ग्य शरणं तव पादमूलं विस्मर्यते कृतविधा कथमार्थबन्धो. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. You know what I am sensing? 2 or 3 years down the line, when we all do together, somewhere if we get an opportunity, all these prayers, you know, in any of this gang recitation, there will be one man odd out who will be completely spoiling the whole thing. So I will be that actually, because my tone is like that. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much to all of you. So will you recite all the other two also, first two also? If you have time, else we can conclude the call. We can conclude the call. It's already 9:01. So it's up to you.
Has everybody completed? Anybody is there?
Yeah.
Anybody wants to do again? Okay, then we'll conclude the call.
Okay, Maharaj.
वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय, श्रीला प्रभुपाद बुक रीडिंग की जय, श्रीमद् भगवत गीता की जय, श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, चैतन्य चरितामृत की जय। हरे कृष्ण। Thank you for joining.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.